block you gonna do?
Hello and welcome to the very first Block and Load Vodcast. You're joined by myself, Jono,
Sally,
and Shawnee.
and together we make up the Block and Load community team. So what we're going to be doing here with the Vodcast is basically kind of telling you a little bit about what we do behind the scenes to make Block and Load what it is. So first up on that list we have the recently announced tournament, which is actually Shawnee's little project. So
It's the tournament is a 5 versus 5 EU shootout, a collaborative project between the Block and Load community team and a website called EGL, also known as the European Gaming League. The tournament will consist of 8 teams battling it out to try and essentially, one, obviously win the tournament, and then 2, get themselves 5 swag bags, which is a nice little prize, but also gives teams, I think, the very first chance to experience a somewhat ranked-like environment, facing against teams who are obviously, 1, set up, and 2, what to expect when going into these games.
Oh, definitely. And obviously, if you have a 5-person team, you should get over to their site and sign up your team right now, because as we record this, there's already 5 teams. That includes the awesome home team of EGL. They've very kindly put together a team to put into this to give us feedback. It is beta. We want to run a beta tournament. We want to get all the feedback we can and make that sort of offering a lot better as we go on. So what are your thoughts about the tournament, John?
For me, you get the chance to win some awesome swag bags, but you also get the glory of being the very first victors in the very first Block and Load tournament. So, right off the bat, you're going to kind of have this reputation amongst the rest of the community, and when the game launches, you're going to be at the top there, and you're going to have to fight for that position. And, as we start to look at rolling out ranked mode, which we're not going to talk about too much right now, then, it's going to give you a good taste of what to expect and the kind of things, as you guys have said, that you're going to come up against in regards to team compositions, tactics, and actually the length of games will be substantially longer as you come up against more equally matched opponents. So actually really looking forward to getting the tournament off the ground.
So I think it's really interesting, the teams we've had sign up already. Obviously we've been looking at the rosters, looking at very familiar names, already familiar to us. So we've got some very high quality players in there. I had the fortunate, blessing of playing against some of those players and getting our absolute butts kicked. So should we talk a little bit about the teams that are already in there as we know it to this point?
It kind of surprised us a little bit because we were expecting certain teams to not merge into this almighty conquering dream team as such. To give an example, Lime Party, current Ace of Spades World Champions, essentially have a team now which consists of members from a team called Killer, as well as MLF, who are in Insomnia 53 and played against us.
The very
on
first
stream.
Block and Load
Absolutely.
clan, actually, as well. So, the original, will they be the best?
It's an interesting one. So 2 members of MLF, 2 members of LP, and 1 member of LP combined to make still LP. It appears, as we were talking about this the other day, LP appeared to just be swallowing clans into making this.
It's what LP do best. They keep their rosters fresh and they adapt to what the tournament is. They're a big clan. We know that. They're Lime Party, and we are very familiar with them from working on Ace of Spades. So very, very high quality. We watch them all the way through the tournament. They have some skills. We know that. And the addition of the 2 MLF guys, awesome.
Well, I think, it's not a surprise thinking about it, looking at Lime Party and Major League Fruit coming together to make like a fruit salad of destruction.
You went there.
I went there. I saw it, and I went for it. One of your 5 a day, those.
Although, we have to say, there is the new team on the block, the Block and Load block. Very interesting roster. Do you want to intro that team? They were the second to sign up?
Yes. Featuring someone who has a habit of getting around about 80 kills a game. He strikes fear into...
Oh.
You wish.
It's funny.
Even I wish. I wish I could hit those kind of marks. Consisting of...
Oh my God. Look
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'll be fine.
We should be nice to each
Moving
other.
on. So consisting of Gretsch, Kiwians, which by all means, if you've played against someone called Kiwians, you might have noticed he's got a lot of kills, and he more than happily shows it off with his screenshots in his profile, which is not a bad thing, because if you can hit that many kills, yeah, why not? And Gretsch, obviously familiar to us as a streamer, as well as all the other awesome things he has done for us in the Block and Load community. Team Glue actually consisting, we actually come across Team Glue when we were doing our screenshot competition, and we saw an infamous screenshot on Base Race where someone was up in the sky and someone had, spelt out Team Glue with glue blocks. They've kind of made them more popular.
In a real game as well. They've done it in a match-made game. It wasn't set up. And actually, I think to the point when we played with them on stream as well, they had a 100% win record with the glue. Because what they do is they use Eliza and OPU defensively and use the AoE and the ability to blink to trap people in there and then kill them.
You've got to be pretty accurate to land in between the tiny, minute space where it isn't glue. So you're going to be stung by that sort of trap that they put on the battlefield. And, you know, if you play Key Wins, you know it. You'll know it. It's pretty brutal. Me and Mr. Crispy were very fortunate again to get our butts handed to us on that one. So yeah, he's a very, very good player. We know he's sort of got some sort of like pedigree playing other sort of FPSs.
Yes, he does.
Those sort of combat skills are obvious. You, as I say, you'll know if you've played him.
It's brutal, but I mean, we've gone through 2 of the teams. I mean, we can go through them all day. I mean, we could even have a show on them the entire time.
Indeed.
But I mean, the only thing to say is pretty much give you the full rundown of the tournament really quickly and everything that is going on regarding the format. So essentially, you have your 8 teams, and it's split into a 18 brackets. There will be 3 rounds. Obviously, you have your quarterfinals, and then your semi-final, then your final. The teams will be randomly drawn because essentially we've never done a tournament before, so we have no seeding system as such. It's a level playing field between everybody, and of course if we decide to do another tournament in the future, we then have seeding systems to go off from this tournament. From, for example, Team Glue win, they'd obviously be seeded number 1 because they're the winners of the last tournament, etc. It will be a best of 1 in the quarterfinals and semi-finals, but the final will be a best of 3. Which means that it can go many different ways, of course, so you just never know what to expect. The reason is you just can't predict how long games will go on in Block and Load at all. Unfortunately, and it's unfortunately, because unfortunately, one, for a tournament, it makes it really difficult to do time-ins, but at the same time, it makes for epic matches because you just never know what we might see. We'll go into that later on, of course, of some of the matches we've experienced.
Absolutely.
But, I mean, it's been absolutely insane with some of the matches, and it's definitely something to think about. And then, of course, there is essentially how do you sign up? And it was kind of mentioned by Sally earlier, but all you need to do is head over to egl.tv, and then go on to the game section and choose Block and Load. And from there, just sign up and create a team. Get your other 4 members along, and then just join the tournament. And like Sally said as well, we got 5 teams already. At the time of this recording, it could be 8. You just never know. So make sure you are quick because, well, if there's a space, you don't really want to miss out on this one.
And even if it is 4, of course, we want to bring the whole of the community into this event. And as I said, we will be streaming the final.
Oh yes.
But obviously, you can keep up to date along with our Twitter feed. We'll be giving you periodic updates about what's going on, how the results are. There'll be a bracket and everything. So make sure you keep an eye on that. So I guess we'll talk about some interesting bits of content coming up.
Yeah, kind of linked to that as well, because the tournament will actually be seeing 2 brand new maps being brought into rotation being used immediately, kind of so that, you know, people, because with some of our, you know, more ingrained maps, people are used to it, they've got their tactics, we want to mix things up a bit. So for those eagle-eyed among us, those who have gone over to EGL, you'll actually see that we've announced the next 2 maps entering rotation. Yeah. So these are kind of a change to the current format we've used. We've gone for 2 very different styles of maps. So the first one being the Last Bastion, large open spaces, big fortifications. You know, you're really going to be able to engage your imagination and look at using flanking tactics to get in there. And then we've got the very brightly coloured and home of our resident ninja, OP, the Shuko Temple. So we don't know if this will kind of start a trend in regards to character-specific maps or not, but this is very Japanese, very kind of Zen-guard, and I think, you know, in regards to play style, it would definitely give something new. I mean, Shawnee, have you had a little go on these maps yet?
So I have unfortunately not had the time to play them yet. However, we have seen sneak peeks of them visually. They look visually fantastic. Last Bastion, in fact, implementing the skybox where essentially only Stronghold uses it, which is the sunset background, and it works really well against the backdrop of this huge castle that your teams are already provided with to then build around. It is definitely something that will, in tournament, I have a feeling, might be long games depending, because there's such a huge base available to you already. But then again, like you said, this means way too much different flanking tactics. It can be anything. If you're an OP and you can time your smoke bombs, you can easily probably get to the top of a castle, go from there. There's all different kinds of possibilities.
We can't say we haven't played the Bastion. Maybe not in this iteration of the map, because obviously our map designers work very hard, like iterating the maps into the versions that get into the game, and even then, you know, taking feedback and altering them to make them the best possible experience. We've had a couple of goes on the Bastion, and I quite like it. I think the first time you play it's quite overwhelming just because it's a great expanse right in front of you. But the width of the map I really like, because playing a support class usually I make my own class. I like playing support. So you have that sort of like the width of the map to play with in terms of flanking manoeuvres. So it's not just about the depth of the digging space you have. You can actually just sort of like just move away from the combat. I'm quite a pacifist in this game. I'm very surprised by this. I've also played Cogwheel on it. You know, as much as we know how much I love playing Cogwheel, but it's great. Those open spaces, using his cannon to like lob over like great expanses, great. Obviously his mortars, his sprockets, brilliant play for him. Yeah,
I mean, what I like is basically, you've got these fortifications, but the way the map's done, it actually gives you, the player, the opportunity to kind of terraform this map in a way that you think will suit your tactic. You know, you're not going to be funneled down one path. You can make your own paths. If one team have fortified one area, you can go to a different bit. It can be a very imposing map, but then for the creative amongst the community, you can really make it something special when it comes to defending your cubes and attacking your enemies. So, and also for our little aspect of the community that like destroying every single block in the map. You know, I think this will take a little bit longer than their previous endeavors.
Over to you guys.
They're getting good at it though, unfortunately. So it's a challenge, I guess. And obviously what this means as well, based on timings, is that these maps will kind of throw teams in a little bit because they will not have the same play time they have compared to the other maps already in the game. Now, this can mean for all different kind of possibilities. Going back to the tournament, obviously we just finished on it, but it's always always something to think about. When you have everyone who's going on to play these maps, I mean, you do something which is common, but then by the time you play it, you'll then obviously begin to formulate your progress. A perfect example is Mountain Express. Some people don't often use the top towers and then a speed and jump pad over to the middle in blocks in the air. And that's a pretty common tactic now, I feel. But back then, when people were only just getting used to it, they would stick to the ground levels. And obviously with these maps, you just never know. We'll go on to Shuko. None of us have played this.
No.
I have never played this. I can definitely tell you I've not played this map.
No.
This is good. I have no idea what to expect.
It
looks
looks
amazing.
Fantastic. I mean, I was lucky enough to get the map designer to kind of give me a little fly-by camera. But not only is it like probably the most like, it's a good looking map, you know, there's bright colors. It's very, you do feel like you're kind of in Japan, you know. But yeah, there's a lot of, you know, you've got to be careful you don't fall off the edge, you know, it's all more like there's going to be a lot of field of view, a lot of like little breaks so you can't snipe everyone, so it's going to really kind of be like very much use of like bait and switch in, do you decoy the enemy, you know, it's going to be quite a brutal constant match where you're always going to be never too far away from the enemy. So yeah, I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what the players make of it as well. I think it'll make a good competitive map as well. But yeah, it's good, you know, it's going to be bright, there's going to be lots of reds, lots of whites, and lots of explosions, so...
That's another reason. I mean, we've liaised with the map designers, and we talked about the maps we were going to use in the tournament. So the two new ones, we wanted to include them because they brought a little bit different tactics to the table. So with the width of the map or that challenging sort of element to sort of a Shuko temple, which I'll probably fall off a lot. How embarrassing. Anyway, so which out of all of our map rotation while we're on it, it's like, which do you think is going to be the most challenge?
Of all the maps in current rotation, honestly, challenge-wise, oh man, honestly, it's such a tough one because we don't know these teams enough yet, and we don't, even the people who play this game every day, you just don't know what's going to happen in regards to their base layout, etc. And there's just so many different variations. I've yet to see, for example, LP play in their full team. I've yet to see Team Glue play as a full team. I have no idea tactics-wise what they have in mind, and this is going to be what's going to be the awesome thing about it, because we're going to probably see things that one, we haven't either thought about, or two, didn't think could be done in a certain time, but can be via different tactics. For example, cutting certain things, etc. There's so many different things I'm excited to see coming out of this. And like we said at the start, this is the way for us to test the waters, so to speak, with competitive gameplay for Block. And this is a really great opportunity to see it, especially with these new maps as well.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing a wildcard team as well. You know, we've got our regular faces, but you know, there's a lot of players that, you know, they're just playing the game, they're consistent at it, they're good. Sometimes we'll see a YouTube video or a stream from them, and then there's the ones we just don't know about because they just play the game and enjoy it. So I do really hope we do see like a team of wildcards come together and put on a good show.
I think we'll probably guaranteed to see that sort of thing. We're so early in, you know, the product's life. It's going to be a treat.
Absolutely. Now, kind of moving swiftly on from that in regards to competitive play, of course, to have strong competitive play, you need what could be seen as a balanced game. And of course, as the beta's been developing and the community's settled into the game, they've been helping us kind of carve out the kind of path we want the game to take in regards to making sure that balance is as close to being... Because I don't think you can ever achieve perfect balance, but as close to being Zen-like, to stay on theme, as possible. And, you know, two kind of heroes that are very centric at the minute, of course, is Sarge and the dreaded OP if you're defending. So I don't know if you guys want to kind of explain a bit more about kind of OP and kind of like the process we've took with him and where he might be going.
I think, you know, when we started this project, I think anyone will agree that we want to keep to the kind of core pillars of it remaining fun. And like you said, we don't want to... I don't think you can ever perfectly balance a game because I think you balance the fun out of it. So we don't want that, but we do want it to be a level fair playing field. And, you know, that's how we get a good platform to do more competitive, you know, tournaments and activity, build the clan scene and everything like that. OP, obviously a personal favourite of mine. I've not played him for a long time because I'm trying to be good and take my time with the other heroes and level them up and getting a bit more experience with the ones I'm not as comfortable with typically. OP is quite a surprise for me because in terms of my FPS playstyle, he would not be the kind of character I'd pick typically. But I quite like using his agility to, you know, tactically get round the enemy and pick off those who stray behind. And, you know, he's gone over a lot of work and since we first saw him. And at the moment, it seems to be sort of a trial with his weapon set, getting them quite right. So everyone feels like, you know, it's good. It's not OP. Yeah. But yes, obviously we've seen the cries for the F-bomb. So that's something we're working on and making sure we don't have insta-kill turrets, I guess. Back to how it was. It does do damage, but not in such a kind of where it becomes the primary tactic.
I mean, the thing that we're balancing a melee character is you are bringing a knife to a gunfight. Yeah. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that it's satisfying for the player and, you know, you can be effective. And that's why I really like the blink ability on the katana because it gives him utility, offensive and defensive, and it allows him to be effective as a melee character without getting a face full of lead before he gets to these opponents.
And that's feedback we've had on the forums too, of course. The players obviously feeding back. They like that we have that because there's a lot of games. It's like, hey, I've got a sword. How do I get to you? You've got to go. So, yeah, I think that was essential in his development is to give him, with his agility, but also the ability to close that gap and actually have a fighting chance of taking out someone like Cogwheel, who's like a walking gun turret. So, that sort of thing.
It's pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good explanation, I feel.
And the thing is, like, the way we actually kind of get to this conclusion, there's many ways when it comes to balancing a game. Now, we're kind of going for like a multi-pronged approach. We've got obviously the actual physical game developers who are well-versed in making games and have a general idea of what balance kind of should look like. We've then got our data in regards to who kills what with who, how often, what the damage is, what is used, what isn't used. And obviously, really importantly, your feedback on the forums and on Twitter, of course, because you're the ones that are putting a lot of hours into this game. We've seen a lot of people with over 100 hours worth of gameplay already, which is absolutely awesome. And, you know, your kind of tips and like saying, you know, I feel this is strong or this could be looked at is taken into consideration. We do feed that back. So you're actually having a direct impact on how the game is kind of being made in this kind of beta time. So yeah, it's nice to see that all these things coming together. So we've got facts, we've got opinions, and we've got experience, like a holy trifecta of balance, coming together and kind of making the game.
I mean, you mentioned Sarge, and a recent stream that you guys did, there was a question brought up. It's like, well, why would you pick Sarge over Cogwheel? And I was just there in the chat screaming, because obviously, first hero I played, level to 10. He's always been my first, my all, my everything, and I think, yeah. You know, he is the non-thinking man's killing machine, but he's also very good at tactics and strategy if used in the right way. As I mentioned earlier, it's like he's great at being that support class. His weapon is most effective in the support role, dropping back a bit and providing covering fire. It gives you a better view of the battlefield and better ability to pull off of a fight when an OP jumps in to take that kill. It's not all about the KDA, it's about working as a team. If you see your OP going in, there's no benefit to carrying on that fight if he's gone in to engage and take the kill, because you'll shoot him in the face and he will not like it. And it'll be your fault even though you were concentrating on it. But, you know, he has the kit. He doesn't have the sprockets, the mortars. So the mortar block's very expensive. And you know, committing to that tactic, it takes all your bricks. So you kind of often, if you don't have a Sarge and you have a cogwheel and you get into this squabble, like put some radars down and your cogwheel's going, I have no bricks. So Sarge is, you know, he's there for the radars initially and then, you know, a bit of reserve to go move up the battlefield, sneak between the enemy radar and then put down the spawn point. He's obviously a little bit more agile, and you've always got at least your grenades. I think, you know, once you're at level 10, it's a little bit scary, like 3 popping out, but they can be quite useful in those sort of last-ditch scenarios. Drop them at your feet and run away, which is what I do.
Grab a kill, take out some base defences, cover your back as well, as you've just kind of correctly mentioned there. So yeah, each character has, you know, they all fit different niches, and each character can be different ways. I mean, I've seen offensive Tonys, defensive Tonys, offensive Nigels, non-sniper Nigels that treat their rifle like a shotgun. You know, each character can be played how you want them to play, as long as you kind of know how to apply their skills to that situation, which I think is really awesome about Block and Load. Like, we don't kind of give you a character and go, this is what you do. You stay there. Do not come past this line. You know, you can pick a character, and as long as you work as a team and you can consider all your different aspects, then you can make it work.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you don't have one set rule, and people might try and tell you, but I've seen Nigels go up front and be very good in defence. If I'm playing him, defence, because I can't do the twitch shooty thing and jump around and spin around, do some sort of crazy headshot. Cannot do it, so I play to my strength with the hero that I've picked. Same with Eliza. I worked out very, very early that if I'm going to take Eliza, hang back, because I'm not an offensive Eliza. I can't do it. Whereas Shawnee has recently given you a masterclass on exactly how to use Eliza to the best of ability at the front of the line. I'm sure you're at the front.
Intimidating flashes of red hair when you're against Shawnee's Eliza. Very much so.
Well, in the case of me, it's the yellow figurine of Hazmat Eliza.
Oh, that is a fantastic skin. Just seeing this yellow glow bouncing around with green going off everywhere. It tends to be quite an impressive sight when she's on your side.
She'd fit well in like a Snoopy. And
I kind of want to go back to the Cog and Sarge thing you brought up just now, Sally, because the way I always thought about it was that I always believed, and I still believe in many ways, Cog is better than Sarge. However, if you decide to be the Cog who tries to build these moors, it is a big hit. For one, the moment you use them, people will probably catch on to where they are. They seem to be one-hit wonders, I feel, the sprockets. If people are smart enough and they realize they're a major priority, they will take it out. One perfect example was in the game I was playing with Jono on Monday. We were on stream. I managed to get down 10 mortars and no one went for them, and it was just barrage after barrage after barrage. Brutal. If they had gone after them, the game could have probably been way longer, and it would have taken a lot longer depending on certain things. But for the case of 400 with Sarge's satchels, that's really not a lot, and it does enough for what you need it to do. And you will only use in certain scenarios. As Cogs, you can only use in certain scenarios as well, but they are a lot more expensive, obviously, due to the stack cost, and they're a lot more risky. For one, if you don't place them properly, you can blow them up. Or two, if you don't have a Tony, you have no repairing, so you have to be a lot more precise with where you put them.
And of course, you've got to consider your team composition.
Exactly.
This is not a game where you can go out as a lone wolf and do well. You might be a very skilled player, and you might win games, but probably not that comfortably, and it's not that enjoyable for a team. It's like making sure, especially with those two classes, I mean, every class is pivotal, but in the scenarios where you only have one of them, and one of them is Cogwheel, and he goes for a full-out, I'm going attack, I'm not putting radars down, I'm going full mortars, committing, and that doesn't pay off, you're leaving your team really open, no visibility of the map. So you've gone for it, you've lost all your mortars at this point, you have no bricks, you know, you've got to wait for the first brick crate pickup, if you get it. And then what? Luckily, the great thing is if the same scenario where you do get brick starve and whatever tactic you did not pay off for Sarge, the only thing is that probably Cogwheel's like weapon sets probably a little bit more self-sustaining. But obviously used if you've got other people pushing up the field as Sarge, that shouldn't really impact you that much. If you are committing to the one forward person, or you and one other person who's relying on you putting down firepower, you're going to struggle in that scenario.
Yep.
So,
Well, and moving on in regards to like obviously usage of blocks and your weapons, alt fire. Alt fire is something that is a pivotal part of the game, and really unlocks a lot of potential in the characters. Now, something I've seen when I've been playing and watching a few streamers as well is they don't know about that right click. And when you're seeing someone play an OP who can teleport with it, there's nothing quite, so you're just like, God damn it, press the right click. And and Cogwheel's power in his close range is using the right click on his rotary cannon and his arm cannon, so that he can actually triple the amount of bullets and ammo coming out and then dishing out the damage. So you get a Cogwheel who goes from solid accuracy to absolute spray and pray, but can drop people quickly. But if they don't know about it, they can't utilize this, and they're missing out on a lot of good plays and obviously fights they could have won.
Do you think it'd be wise if we just go through the alt fires really quickly of all the heroes?
I think that's a fantastic idea.
I think it'd be ideal, obviously, to go through them really quickly and how to best use them, in our opinions, obviously. Not saying that we're the god and messiahs of tactics, and maybe, but how we best use
this guy. There it is again, inflating. There you go.
So we'll start off with Sarge. So both of his weapons, alt fires, aim in, and essentially, if you don't aim in, your accuracy is not going to be as good. Now, if you didn't know about the alt fires for them, your rockets could go pretty much anywhere depending around the crosshair, and your bullets will not be, in regards to your M60, will not be as spread compared to when you aim in. It's self-explanatory, really. That is essentially a lot. Yeah, it is literally the FPS core in regards to aiming and shooting, but that is a lot of difference when it comes to trying to shoot someone in a confined space, for example, or even trying to go for a headshot. There's all different examples like that.
If you're going for the kill, you kind of need to aim.
Absolutely.
Whereas with Sarge, great. If you're in a sort of supporting role, spray and pray, sort of covering fire, very military tactic there. Put down suppressing fire and let your other two, more agile characters go forwards. It gets the enemy's head down, does the job. But yeah, if you're going for the kills, you need to aim. I'm probably a little bit guilty of not doing as much of that as I should, but I get enough kills to do my job. But yeah, so going on to the next one.
It is, and sorry.
You want to keep going?
I just want to say, because actually sometimes, obviously the usage of alt fire, but sometimes when you go into your alt fire, you can't move as quickly.
No,
that's the penalty. And in the case of Sarge, sometimes you need to let go of that alt fire to kind of swing your camera around really quickly. If an OP's just smoke bomb behind you, you're not going to hold alt fire and try and turn all the way around. It's not going to work.
No.
So it's just a matter of spinning around. Next one, you already briefly mentioned it, Cogwheel.
Yes, so Cogwheel goes from being like a ranged poke kind of comp into an absolute close range monster. Yes. So, and this is the thing that kind of defines the average cog players from the good to great cog players, is you deciding when to do it. So it's rotary cannon, standard fire, you fire a minigun, good at range, accurate, damage is good for what it does. Press the right click, you get a bit of a spin up time, and then he just lets ramp and he fires 3 times as much bullets, which means your ammo depletes quick, but you're doing 3 times as much damage. Of course, the range and accuracy is much less, but if you use that in close quarters, you're going to absolutely tear up the enemy. You've also got his arm cannon. So the arm cannon, it's good for suppression, for knocking people back, a bit of AoE damage if you can't quite pin them down. So standard fire, really good, solid, you can keep spamming it. If they get in your face and you haven't got the luxury of having time to spin up your primary, your rotary cannon, by pressing the right click, it'll actually kind of just, the projectile will explode out in front of you, kind of like buckshot, but bigger. And it can do up to a third to a half health.
It does 40 damage per hit.
Yeah, so absolutely huge damage, AoE, but just be careful you don't fire it on a wall because it will bounce back and hit you.
That's always a little bit embarrassing. I mean, as I say, I'm not really a Cogwheel player. I've not really put many hours with him at all.
It doesn't show.
Oh, right, okay.
Unprofessional. But I picked up a lot of like scenarios where you would and switching between that close range when they're up in your face. I found like a lot of our enemies in a particular match we played were backing off as soon as I was doing significant damage with my rotary cannon alt fire. I'd then track them with my primary fire on it as it's more sustained, slightly more accurate, longer range weapon. And then as soon as they tried to use the terrain to dip down, I'd switch to my cannon and get the drop on the parabolic sort of arc it has. So that was my kind of order of my weapons I'd use as they retreated from the engagement they tried and failed at. Oh, yeah.
I mean, the example is, I used to be a very avid Cogwheel player back when his cannon, I used to run and jump at people with his cannon. I was never really focused on his rotary cannon. I was all about his cannon arm. I'm sure Sally can tell you many times of a situation where I'd run up, jump, and just alt fire right up in the character's face because that was something I used to do. Doesn't quite work as well now, however, but again, it's definitely something to think
about. The art of balancing as well, and the iterations we've seen of Cogwheel. Cogwheel's a tricky one because he's such a powerhouse and he's got such good kit. It's like if you move too far to one way, we've seen places where it's like, whoa, okay, calm down, Cogwheel. At the moment, it's like he's still very powerful, but the slowness of him, it's like if you can't get him into where he needs to be, which we've seen, it's like people calling me for up the field, but I'm like, I'll be there in about 10 minutes as I slowly chug in my robotic ways up there. It's like, that's where you kind of like need your jump pads down and using your blocks to combo with the skills of the heroes to make sure you're enabling those slower characters up the field.
That's pretty good. So, next one, OP.
Yes! If you don't know about OP's Alt Fire, you're in big trouble. So, OP's Alt Fire on his katana is a blink. So, he will literally disappear from where he is and move to wherever he's aimed at, which will fire a little ball, globule. I'm not quite sure what it is.
Shadow
Magic!
Smoke bomb.
Smoke bomb. That's what it is. I'm always using those technical terms. So yeah, he'll move directly to where you've hit with your smoke bomb, leaving behind an absolutely horrific mess in the form of a big smoke cloud and a nice little explosive dynamite present. So yeah, that's nice. I never actually use that. I'm like one of the only OP players that doesn't really sort of take that into account. I probably should. Well, that's the F-bomb, isn't it? I'm confusing things.
I didn't want to...
You're scaring the players.
Don't do that. That doesn't happen.
Bombs on his right click? What is this?
Outrageous. This is why she doesn't do
balancing.
balancing.
You can tell I don't use them.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
There's smoke. I didn't even know there was a bomb on F. I don't use F. I just kill people and then run away.
And then
you never need to retreat because you're just there tearing the wall
Well, no, we
up.
should talk about his All Fire on his ninja stars.
Yes.
Oh.
Because those bad boys, they do the business. Obviously, you've got single throw, kind of accurate. His Alt Fire, it throws out a triplicate of those. So in a sort of arc. Obviously, people at the current state, as we speak now, are using them knowing that if they do it very, very point blank to people, the cone that those three go out are very, very close. And if you manage to clip a critical with those three, it's like a triple critical. It does some significant damage. I mean, there's a certain sort of skill to it, but it's nasty. Yeah, I imagine that might be worked on.
I believe you coined the term, is it the shuriken shotgun?
Yes.
So yeah, you never suspect a ninja to have a shotgun until now.
Surprise! No, it's very, very useful, and again, like Cogwheel, knowing when to switch between the two is especially in a chase scenario. You know, if they're moving and you know you can't get that one hit wonder on the critical, tracing where they're going, throwing where you think they'll be by the time they hit, and getting at least one hit on them from the triple. So very, very, very useful. So yeah,
it's pretty brutal.
Definitely.
So fourth hero, I guess I'll take this one from Nigel. Good old Nigel. If you don't know about his Alt Fire, I'd be very worried because this is someone you kind of need to know.
Something's gone wrong.
Unless you're just running around trying to just casually hit someone with your hip fire.
We have seen that in certain...
We have seen that, yes.
I missed.
So yeah, self-explanatory sniper mechanics. When you hold right mouse, the crosshairs will get smaller and smaller. When they're at their peak, as thin as can be, then that means the shot will travel where you want it to go. If you move while aiming, it will make the crosshairs get bigger, which means your bullets can go anywhere within that crosshair. So if you're Nigel, either go prone or try and keep yourself still as long as possible just to hit your shots where possible.
It's all about the sweet spot.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. It's like if you risk taking that shot out of when it's at the most accurate point, you're taking your own life into your own hands, probably, because they probably noticed you and then come and killed you.
It's definitely one of those kind of do or die moments if you're going to try a no scope, or if you're kind of don't have the time to aim, just go for it. Or you can switch to his revolver, which also has its own secondary.
Not if you're me. Don't do that. No. Cannot do it.
So Nigel's revolver, essentially the same as Sarge's M60M rocket launcher. When you hold right mouse, it will aim in and essentially increase the crosshair accuracy for it. And it actually does well for recoil, as long as you can hit your shots, ideally for the head. Nigel's revolver is very, very useful for securing that kill. If you headshot someone with Nigel's rifle, you'll do, if you're Eliza, for example, you'll have only 20 health left. A revolver can secure you that kill with a well-timed headshot. But again, these different scenarios of when to use them, and this is why we're going for the Alt Fires as well, because it's actually really crucial in these type of fights. Next one, Tony.
Yes, my main man Tony, my original kind of favourite character and someone who I first got to level 10. So Tony starts off with, he's got his bolt gun, very standard secondary as you've seen in Sergeant Nigel, aim down sight. Now he's kind of got like it looks like a shotgun, but it's more kind of like a slug gun in regards to it fires out 3 projectiles.
Fires out slugs.
Yes, not the sticky kind though. The more military, these won't be eating your garden, they'll be eating up your base.
That would be horrific for me because I hate them.
So yeah,
out the cone,
so
right?
yeah, like a cone. So you've got the 3 projectiles that come out, and if you aim down sight, of course, it will substantially increase your range and accuracy. Now, then you've got the mighty cork gun. So, of course, that's his repair tool and secondary weapon. You can also use it on enemies to slow them down and inhibit their view. So, the cork gun, your standard fire, you'll use your repair, and you can use it to repair things slowly. Your rate of ammo depletion is quite low. If you use the secondary fire, it goes into overload, and it literally goes everywhere. And what that does is you can, if say your turret's being attacked by an enemy, like say you've got a Sergeant Cog shooting it, if you use the secondary, it'll allow you to kind of maintain the damage so that it doesn't get destroyed. But in the cost of that is basically your ammo's going glug, 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 glug.
I'd exactly recommend people in those scenarios where they notice that turret just is not dying is to group up with whoever's nearest to you and both focus fire on that.
Or
you can't
Tony
counter
in the
it.
face.
You could do that, but you could literally just like place a turret and man it almost, just repairing it with an ammo box behind you.
Absolutely.
I've seen that quite often as a tactic, but if you notice that is rather than just standing going, why won't you die?
Look around.
It's like, I need backup here, come in.
So,
All you need is a cogwheel to back you up.
Yeah, I mean, cogwheel will take anything down. But the good thing is, so you've basically got your standard repair and then you've got your combat. I'd like to call it the combat repair because you will literally drink your ammo, but it will keep you in those clutch moments. It will keep your turret in the fight.
I literally thought you were referring to like the slow effect then the combat repair. I'm like, that's a bit of a weird.
No.
I will repair you.
I don't often have time to spray the enemy with it when I'm actually using the bolt gun instead. You know, just take him down. If like I've got a cogwheel helping me, and if I'm against someone like Shawnee who's bouncing around everywhere, I'd probably use the cork gun on him to stick him around a bit. Yeah.
360 slow scope.
360 cork gun, yeah, slow scoping people all day long. You know.
Yeah, 360 slow poke, I think.
360 slow poke.
Hashtag, done it.
Oh,
That's
man.
done. Who else are we
Finally,
missing?
we have Eliza.
Would you like to do the
Who
honours?
would possibly cover this? Me?
You?
Me?
You have to do it in the voice. You can do it.
Oh, yeah, she said she would do that, didn't she?
Did
That's
I?
a good point.
Well, I'm being totally ganged up here on the... yeah, Eliza with her globe gun. So I'm not doing the voices. It's not the time to do the voice. I will do the voice later. So her globe gun, obviously, she has again a parabolic weapon, so she will hit and do some splash damage on it, I believe. Yes, thank you. Okay, cool. Another one I don't play. That one. I got this. Her alt fire on this is a lot shorter range, but will do a greater AoE sort of splash on it. Yes, winning. Her grades, I'm a professional at though. If you see any sort of screenshots where there's an Eliza in the background, we're just dropping a grenade. That's me. I have become well known at this. It's a speciality. I might add it to my LinkedIn profile. Dropping grenades as Eliza in BNL. So yes, obviously you can charge up and throw, or you can drop.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Dropping is for the win. You should always drop. I find that if you're not the greatest at aiming or predicting where the player's going, especially in those really like, give me strength.
Well,
it's insulting me like with hand movement.
I saw it.
So yeah, again, dropping at the feet because people don't see it. They're just chasing you, chasing down the kills, and people get like the red mist. They are just chasing. They're not really aware of the fact that they're being led into a horrific bear trap, drop trap. I never stand on those, by the way, ever in any game. Every game we play against players, I am in that bear trap. So keep building them and killing me. they work. Usually as OP because I'm moving so fast and jumping around and saving that extra blink, which nobody ever does. Start doing that. Where?
The old fire, the can grenade, I feel is really underused. I'll give you an example. If an LP is coming at you and you know he's going to be melee, drop a grenade at your feet, and then in my case, try and run and jump past him, and then run and jump past him. Like you said, some people really don't pay attention to the times that they're in the gas, and then they're actually taking a lot of damage over time. And then obviously you can use this to turn around, whether it be with your old fire or globe gun for OP, because he's right next to you. You don't want to shoot it far.
Yeah.
You just want to shoot it close and use it there. And even if, for example, there's a tiny little 1x1 brick which leads into their base that happens to be open, right-click and just drop a grenade right through the hole, and then let the carnage begin, essentially.
One thing I did learn in a match we played the other day, she is great at moving up and holding positions ready for a team to respawn. And say you've got a spawn point and a really good setup, she's put health and ammo down, and no one's spawned because they've gone and died. If you just drop some grenades, guard the point, even if someone knows where it is and coming to attack it, you can probably hold it and get at least 1 or 2 teammates back in the fight, and then focus the objective.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So I guess we kind of mentioned some games we had earlier. We'll go into some of the games that we've actually had over the last week, which have been a little bit mentally destroying, but at the same time so fantastically epic.
Yeah, I mean, there's no better timing than on your lunch or after a week of working hard to go, let's have a quick game of block and load. And when you say those magical words, quick game, you then end up in hour-long marathon sessions against organised teams that kind of push your mental and gaming ability to the limit. Now, being a shoutcaster pair, I think you two are the best to explain some of the epic moments and drawn-out fights we kind of got involved in.
Well, should we start with the one that was slightly longer ago against the one and only LP?
Last
Obviously,
Friday.
we know what you guys are in the tournament. Those guys won't give up very easily at all. It was on base race.
Yes.
How long was the match, Shawnee?
It was 57 minutes.
57 minutes, and it was me and Sean up front. I was Cogwheel, you're Eliza.
Can we mention the Chuckle Brothers?
Jono is Tony, and as we mentioned, the Chuckle Brothers are 2 Nigels, friendly Nigels. They kind of were organised in terms of they had a plan. They seemed to stick together, hence
to
being
destroy the map, literally.
I don't know. They were on the tag too, but they sort of go in a tag team, and we weren't really sure what or where they were going, or So poor Jono was left in the base doing a sterling job in defence. Meanwhile, we actually waited for the enemy to push underground because we kind of predicted that they were going to be a bit tunnel ratty, and they dug the first tunnel, and then we took care of the threat there and used their tunnel back, and then we branched out from there. Most action happened underground, I'd say.
Yes.
I kind of forgot what the sun looked like by the end of it, but yeah, it's Cogwheel. I gave up. I used some mortars at the beginning. Those got destroyed pretty quickly. I think I used them. And then later on I kept, because we were just trying to break through their defences, tried to put some very sneaky ones up. They had such good visibility and good coverage with their radars as they could just find it. And then Nigel, that spot prey. It was difficult. It was very difficult. It
was very tough. I mean, as you mentioned, there was a lot of tunnelling. There was a point where towards the end of the game we were in pretty much underneath their base, and we had you put down a respawn, and if we had moved 2 blocks forward, we were on radar. And if you don't know how to tell if you're on radar, just a little tip: in your little health bar just above it, you'll see a circle status effect icon with dizzy stars around it. Anytime you see that, it can be under many 3 conditions: 1 being hit by a tiki head, being hit by the OP smoke bomb, or in this case on radar. If you're in a confined spot and you see that, they're going to probably know you're there. So it was a matter of just waiting to respawn, and at this point the respawns were very long, getting up to the 30-second mark, and then essentially both of us going at the same time and just trying to barrage their base as much as possible. It was just a consistent fight, but we did eventually manage to break through.
I think the middle ground in terms of the attacking, like our efforts attacking, was that spawn we had on sort of up towards their base on the left side. We'd actually managed to get several spawns through that, but they knew it was down there, and I just placed a random mine, and luckily this one mine kept getting them, and I kept manoeuvring it round. Their Eliza was causing all sorts of havoc because she knew as soon as you got down there and dropped some grenades, we're probably going to get hit, through the kind of seepage effect that we've got at the moment. Yeah. It's coming through the walls. But obviously, who was playing Cogwheel in that one?
It was Mr. Strange Sandwich, if I remember correctly.
Of course it's Sandwich.
Yeah, it was Sandwich. Sandwich playing Cogwheel. It was Kitten playing Eliza, and Commander Warcraft for LP playing Nigel as well, and 2 others which I can't seem to remember.
Well, I think we probably came up against Cogwheel and Eliza the most.
Yes.
They seem to be great. Eliza a little bit more defence on top, where Cogwheel will just come and destroy everything. Thanks, Sandwich. Thank you. I was trying my hardest to put down multiple spawn points to give us options. So if we dropped 1, it did work in certain scenarios where I kind of almost made 1 the dummy. It was kind of in a slightly more precarious place, but you know, who knows which one's going to be picked up. I could tell that they were constantly expanding their radar coverage, because where there was a pathway before, there was sort of, oh no. And there were certain rushes we had to like jump, like wiggle our way through the tunnels as fast as we could and destroy that radar to get rid of the visibility. But we knew we had to run through those patches, so that was quite precarious.
It was very tough, but
get up there
we
and do
mentioned
damage.
how we went into that game. What was it like for you, Jono, on defense?
Defense, well, you know, going up against an experienced team, you kind of try and preempt. I mean, the art of attacking and defending is kind of thinking, what would you do in that situation, and what you think your opponent would do in that situation, and then thinking, what would I do to counter that? So knowing what these guys are like and their love of things like big bombs, I decided to build my defenses on the steel blocks around our cube core.
Yeah.
So basically, I spread out my turrets, first one. I built a little pillbox around them, and I gave them a lip over the top so they could shoot out, but it would stop enemies with a height advantage in case they skybridged firing down on the turrets, which is a big drawback you can see a lot of players don't do. I then bolstered the roof to 2 to 3 blocks thick, just in case any mortar shots came over, put some health and ammo down, and took it from there. Now, as the game progressed, they were slowly blowing up the floor all around our spawn. Literally, it looked like the face of the moon in our base. There was craters everywhere.
Yeah.
I could see down to the bottom, to the kill floor. So I'm glad I put my turrets there. Now, what they'd done is they were gutting out the middle, so I was busy kind of repaving the floor so we could get out of spawn. And then I decided to put 2 turrets forward in the corners. So basically, and then I bricked them in a way that they would not fire forward or to the side. They would only fire back towards the base. Now, this gave us the element of surprise, and it protected the turrets. So the enemies would actually run past the turrets. They wouldn't be engaged until they were actually past them on our side of the base, so they'd get shot by mine and then shot in the back if they tried to retreat. And that's a tactic with turrets you don't see very often. You know, don't be afraid to block them in and limit their view so that you get the element of surprise. So, you know, whilst you guys were doing a stellar job attacking and kind of keeping that going, I was slowly getting more and more concerned as all that was left in the base was just the metal pylon with my little base on top and a few little islands around it.
I mean, you know, on the occasions we did die and we lost our forward spawns, we had to take a trip back to base, at which point we'd encountered the moon. And I remember the first time we came back, and I ran forward, and there was just this
huge crater.
It was almost a cylinder all the way down to the centre of the earth. And we could see that Nigel's was being there because there was just tiki heads just spiralling down in all sorts of crazy directions.
Yeah, I mean, the Nigel's responses to the craters was to just throw tiki heads down it. So the Chuckle Brothers were like, to me, to you, putting down some tiki heads. But one of my highlights on defence has to be, I'd come out of spawn and Eliza and their Nigel had put big bombs under it and blew out the floor. So I looked down and they were looking up at me. I could see them, and it was that awkward moment where it's like, well, they can't shoot me and I can't really kill them. So I just started rapidly repaving the floor, and they were like shooting at me, and I was just like, no, refilling the floor, building some stairs up. Yeah, and I kind of locked them down there, and then they obviously had no blocks to then blow up the next lot. But I found that quite entertaining, just coming out of spawn and kind of going, oh, hey guys, and then just flooring them in and going off on my own little adventure.
This is a little bit difficult being the only class with obviously the only hero with a radar. So when I did drop back, I had to, if I had the bricks, drop down those crazy rat holes we had directly under our base, drop a radar, and luckily the good thing with base race is that there's so many interconnecting tunnels, you don't really get that stuck underground. You just stick your radars down, protect them, and then carry on down.
Yeah.
So all the way back onto the offence.
I think as a Tony player, there's nothing more unnerving when you're playing block and load than to hear a digging sound and you don't know where it's coming from.
No.
You know, because you've got your precious defences, and you can hear it. You can either hear Cog's circular saw, or you can hear Nigel going rah, rah, chipping away at something, and you know it's not your team, but you don't. You know it's nearby, but you don't quite know where. So it was good to have your radar coverage. It made me a lot more relaxed.
It's when you can see the gas coming up, and you're like, oh no, and there's Eliza just chuckling away to herself.
But that was just one game. Of course, we came out victorious after your war of attrition was successful. And you managed to stop me getting block starved with the crate drops. Then we had another quick lunchtime game, and that little lunchtime game turned into what, Sally?
When was that? That was yesterday.
Yeah.
From today.
I'm
We were recording this.
Still reeling from it.
Ah, yes. We queued up. We had a fairly, it was kind of...
We had a strong team.
We had a strong team. It's slightly one-sided. We gave them a fair game and everything, and got through that one. Queued up again, had plenty of time, and we got matched against the devs, the developers.
Yes.
We got, our friends. Oh man, it was difficult. They had a strong, on paper they had a strong team.
It's as if they knew what they were doing.
It was like they made the game.
It was.
This is the only game I've mentally lost it trying to just mentally shouting at a screen to someone to just die so I can try and win. It was insane. The best thing about it is that we were down to our final base in 15 minutes.
It wasn't looking good.
15 minutes, and then 45 minutes later, we were on their final base and almost won it.
It was clutch.
At the very least. It was so intense, but I just couldn't get over how hard we had to fight to just hold, but how well we did during that. Yeah. It was so tough.
Well, I think it's a credit to as well, like the way they've actually, credit to the people that beat us, how they designed the game. Like, yeah, they pushed really hard at the start. They had a strong defense. We were pushed back to our last base, and by working together, by not raging or just giving up and surrendering, we consolidated mostly. We consolidated, we rebuilt our defenses. You guys kept up a fantastic sustained attack. And we held it out. And as you took 2 cubes whilst we were on our last base, and you nearly took down theirs. Obviously, I was playing Nigel, and I suddenly became like Tony's kind of protege, because we had one of our map designers playing Tony fantastically, I hasten to add. So basically, our last base was sort of full of turrets, and I'd say double-figured tiki heads. Any angle, any direction, they were in there. So, yeah. And it shows, once again, the versatility. Nigel's normally seen as an aggressive character. When in fact he can play defensive as well. So yeah, we managed to hold out, and luckily I helped carry the defense while you guys were doing an awesome attack. So
you do know I was in defense, right?
You were?
I was playing a supporting role. So yeah, I mean initially
Cogwheel support.
I called support in the blinking lobby chat. You all looked in apart from Shawnee. So I was like, okay. I would have been happy to switch to anything. But yeah, obviously being the only person with spawn points and radar, I had to try and at least get up there. I did manage to put, Sean was giving the support of like, oh, good job with the spawn point. Managed to just about get the spawn points down. Unfortunately, they did not have good radar cover. I just hasten to add, their radar coverage sucked.
I hope they don't watch this.
Well, I don't care. It was true.
No, not because of that. Because if we play them again, they will probably step up their radar coverage.
Well, fine. I'll destroy them. It's fine. I see it as a challenge, is navigating around other people's visibility. It's kind of fun for me, and that's part of how I play Block and Load. But they utilise spot prey with precision. So every time they kind of got wind that something was there, it's probably because I was an idiot and half the time dug one too many blocks and was like, stuck my head out and went, shh.
Back through the hedge.
Camo sandbag. Bye. But initially I started like that, but I mean, I'm probably lean to slightly. I support. I don't do a good, solid attack or defense. I kind of hold the middle ground.
You're the midfielder.
Exactly. So I was going up and down, and it was just horrific as Cogwheel. It's so much better at Sard. He's got that little bit more speed. Like going, oh, quick, we need you up here. Again, the slow robot dance up the field.
I mean, but your radar coverage was crucial, especially when they decided to try and tunnel under us. It allowed us to spot Sarge before he could blow out our defenses from under us, to spot the respawn points that were nearby. So, it's all about playing as a team. So you could have the best OP player in the world, the best whoever COG player in the world, but if they're not working with their team and utilising their special character blocks, then it just doesn't work. Like I said, our map designer, Sai, is seen as like a really good Tony, but if you didn't have your radar coverage, he couldn't have effectively used his turrets and he couldn't have defended them. So it really shows, and as well, when Shawnee came back to defend in the really dire moments, his healing, for example, is it that match where I was on 1% HP and I was being chased and you came and saved me on 1%? I mean, that's the definition of clutch, and we turned the fight around. So, it's the communication and working together, even when things like most teams, and if I wasn't playing with you guys, when we were pushed back to that last base, I probably would have gone, GG, surrender. But if you pull it together, we can really turn.
We're making out that there were no harsh words exchanged in this match.
No, I like to say all feedback was constructive, and it was a very camaraderie, jolly time. Peggy 13.
He's saying I had good radar coverage now after screaming, more radars! There's 18 radars in our base at different levels.
It got to the point when I was defending with you, and I was so paranoid that if I didn't see a red silhouette near the base, something was terribly wrong. Yeah.
He kept blinking out of the radar, and then it's like, literally, I was spinning around at one point, just spinning around for ages.
360 radar scope.
Yeah, but the thing is, the great thing, I mean, the role that I play, and I think I probably play the strongest, is that point where we were all in the base. We had that sort of reprieve for like a few seconds, I'd say. I'd like to say minutes, but it didn't seem that long. And we'd have like them huddled up on top of our base with an Eliza and a Sarge bombarding it with both gas and rocket launchers, obviously on a point, so spawn point, ammo crate, health crate. And I was like, no, can't be having this. They've got all sorts of infrastructure up there. So I just hoofed it over there when we had a second, got up there and sort of tried to take care of it, or at least disrupt what they're doing. I mean, they got to the point of desperation. They were using every dirty trick in the book.
Yeah, some of the cheesier tactics we've seen so far.
You need to do sometimes. You get to the point, it's like, right, okay, we've done traditional tactics, like literally have to stem them at some point. I mean, the Sky Bridge was well built on their part. I mean, they made it just in the most annoying way. They left a gap, so they had to jump over, but they timed it. We didn't really have the destructive power of, the accuracy of the RPG when you can keep hitting the same block.
Absolutely.
I was trying to blast it. When I saw it going over my head as I was trying to take that infrastructure out, I managed to kill Sarge, but Eliza was very accurate. As we know, that player is very accurate.
Yes.
So we did our best. I'm very impressed of our performance of. It was like almost 45 minutes defending our last cube, which was slowly going. It was down to like a pixel for a long time. It was so close with you and Mr. Crispy on the final, and Mr. Crispy was really, really pleased about playing OP
52
at that
deaths.
point.
He was very pleased about playing OP. I'm sorry, Crispy.
But it just shows the importance of like how in an objective game, kill death doesn't necessarily reflect the true weight of your participation in the game. It's all about playing for the objective, playing for the win. I mean, if I'm looking at a good teammate, I don't care if someone's got 100 kills and 2 deaths. I might actually be a bit concerned as to why they've not been a bit more stuck in.
Yeah.
We all done a bit, and even though we lost, and I'm a very competitive person when I play games, it was a satisfying loss because it was a good game. We played hard, and we came up against a solid team, and it was turning around dire straits, which made me proud in
there was
that
a point where we, a bit of squabbling. Certain people had their headphones on, so couldn't
Sally
hear any
killed
calls.
a guy. Yeah.
I killed a guy.
Yeah, you better lay low for a while.
Yeah,
you got a safe house or somewhere you can hide.
Yeah, it's a shame. Shawnee shot me in the face a couple of times by accident, which is fine. Stray bullets.
It's how he shows appreciation these days.
Gas globules.
That's the only game where I've always tried to keep my cool, so to speak, and it's just like the intensity to try and win was too much in that one. A few people in the office were surprised.
There's nothing like taking on the people who you work with to really form that team bond that lasts a lifetime.
Yeah, I think there's a vendetta now. But we managed to frustrate them, and that was kind of evident.
Well, when they were cheesing it with some of the tactics that have since been nerfed, that's when I was like, yes, we've been successful this day.
Moral victory.
Yes.
Yes, I don't think they wanted to be in there that long either, and we're kind of surprised of how they hadn't won so far. But I mean, as for me, it's like I was just trying to avoid the really, really hot shots and taking out their weaker members. I'm horrible like that. It's like I find who's the weakest.
Look for the straggler.
Yeah. That's my OP tactics coming through while playing any other hero. Yes, I love it as OP though. You see a stray Tony just like bent over trying to build a turret. And it's
that
like,
builder's
ding,
crack
ding.
is just like a big target for you, isn't it?
Let me help you with that. So yeah, those are the games we've played, and they've been pretty epic.
Yeah,
so we look forward to more of those.
That's why I think Rank's going to be awesome, because the players are going to be getting more equally matched games, and they're going to get this on a more regular basis. So good luck. It'll be a bit of a workout, but it's going to be awesome, and I look forward to being part of some of those matches. I guess you guys are as well. Hopefully we'll get the unblockables kind of when we're not doing the streaming, maybe a cheeky bit of ranked
and obviously as a recent lover of Nigel.
Yes, my second.
Not actual.
No, not like that. We're just good friends. But Nigel is the second character I've decided to main. He's a very different play style, apart from the Tiki heads, to Tony, and that's why I chose him, because then I've got 2 different kind of angles.
So you'll get a new outfit soon.
I will, a new outfit, that's it.
You will have a new outfit.
Yes, the Skins for the Win, which is part of the fully loaded edition of Block and Load, which you can pick up on Steam, is soon to get the elusive Nigel skin. He's nearly finished his stint in detention, and he will be released and unleashed upon the public and those who have bought the game very shortly, if not already at the time of this recording. Yes,
you're probably going, we already have.
Yeah, you might already have him.
You have another one? What is this?
But yes, so if you're watching this in the future, hello, have we got floating hoverboards yet? Just leave a comment if we have. You might already be playing him with the skin. If not, we've seen it, we've used it. and it's awesome. So yes, it's going to be good.
So yeah, obviously, if you're wondering how you get those skins.
Yes, well, of course, Shawnee.
Shawnee.
So, you can pick up the current title, Block and Load, a fully loaded edition on our Steam store page. So essentially, head over to store.steampowered.com, search Block and Load, and then click on that and you'll get to purchase there. Or you can just go onto our website and you'll probably find some in there as well. But the Block and Load fully loaded edition contains the 6 skins for the win, a free copy of Ace of Spades Battle Builder, and the full game of Block and Load, as well as, if not already in the beta, immediate beta access for you to get stuck right in with those new skins.
And of course, it is at a special price at the moment of $19.99. So yeah, if you get it now, of course you get that. Oh,
it's not that special.
And if you own Ace of Spades, it's 50% off at $15.
So yeah, obviously the price it is now, I think we've done a post about it. It's the same price it will be at launch.
Yes.
However, you get all this awesome stuff now. It's not a trick. 6 free skins.
Yep, the skins for the win will not be part of the base package that will be releasing at launch. So if you want to have that snazzy style that will catch the eye of your opponents and teammates alike, block in now and get it.
What's your favourite skin?
I have to say, well.
Oh.
I haven't seen the new Nigel skin. That is quite tempting, if not just for the voiceovers. But being a Tony player, I do like spaced out Tony. You know,
building a brighter future. Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. You know.
Yeah, right.
And if you're lucky, you might hit him right in the Venus.
I thought you were going to do the impress.
That voice line is bedded into my head and will never go.
That's why I always dig out the sand, just to get that going.
No, do not encourage it.
So
no,
that's where that's coming from. I don't know who my favourite is. I'm thinking.
It's got to be Alcastone, just for your love of Sarge.
No.
Or Pirate Cog?
I do love Pirate Cog.
Cog!
Cog is not one of my favourite heroes to play
good.
based on my personal preference of playstyle, but that skin is pretty boss. I'm surprised. I kind of like 2081.
He looks like
futuristic one.
Oh, he looks like a badass, doesn't he? Just like the blue. I love the colour blue, and he's got like his like neon style blades and his like white armour. Oh yeah.
That's why I can look that much more badass when annihilating someone with my katana.
I'm going to kind of place a kind of safe bet on what I think Shawnee's favourite skin might be.
What?
It's big, it's yellow, and it's got the most ravenous female in gaming in it. It's Eliza's skin for the win. Hazmat Eliza.
Shawnee likes the gas.
That's good. Yes, Hazmat Eliza. What else? Just because of simple fact being that it's someone trying to run around in a hazmat suit trying to kill you. It sounds a little bit bizarre now, the way I say it.
Even her gas tank has a smiley face.
Yeah, it has a smiley face on it.
Smiley face.
I have to say, running in a gas mask is not advisable. Gas Mark 5. It's not advisable. I used to have to do that in the competition shoots when I was doing my military training. It ended badly.
Standard process to be a community manager these days. Military training.
First, you must complete the military training. No, there was certain hyperventilating and being shouted at by Sergeant Major telling me that if I hyperventilated, that he was not getting the stretcher to take me away. So I had to get my stuff together and complete the shoot. So that was fun. Don't run in gas masks. It's a bit like scissors. Don't run with scissors either.
Oh, man.
Who thought you came for advice and fun times with Block and Load and got some real world advice too?
So, Jono, I want to throw it over to you to finish it off.
Yes.
The whole Vodcast thing. How often will we see these and stuff?
Whoa, we're gonna, as and when we get some interesting stuff to talk about, at
Might
the
be
end
ages.
Yeah, it could be. It could be a
people.
week. It could be 2. It could be once a month. But basically, if there's anything you want us to talk about, if there's something that really grabs you that you want to know about Block and Load and kind of a little bit what goes on behind the scenes, then drop us a tweet at Block and Load. Also, we've got the Facebook page, which Block and Load, quite self-explanatory, and you can also find us sometimes lurking around on Steam. So always check out our forums there as well. But thank you for joining us for our very first podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. I've been Jono.
I've been Sally, I think.
Yeah, oh God, I hope so.
I've been Shawnee.
We'll see you next time. See you on Block and Load.
What the block you gonna do?